joke, I've been a money maker. I've been a record breaker, taking credit as an educator. I've been known to spit the flows and make it shaky, shaky thing. Popping, locking, stopping, let it hang. Watch us as we drop this hip hop, it's like it stings. We make the whole room drop and everybody sing. We want the funk. We gotta have that funk. We kick it old school, we think we're so cool. We take it back to the past, we gonna act a fool. Up jumps the middle finger, make my yay.
Hello, and welcome to Sports Buzz, the Fanatical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here live in studio, Comcast Cable Channel 23, downtown Danbury, Connecticut. On the day before summer officially begins, this June 20th.
Beautiful day today.
And it is a beautiful day today. Summer weather is fast approaching. It's supposed to be getting a little hot and humid as we move into next week. Maybe all these rain showers are behind us. Let's hope so.
I hope we need as much dry weather as possible.
We need some dry weather. Let's dry these things out because we have the local 9 need to get some games underway, and they are right now, as a matter of fact. Let's quickly say hello to my man, Mr. Bob Broad Jr.
Hello, Scott.
And look, there he is with Westy.
Yes.
Looking good there, Bob. How you doing there, Bob?
I'm doing good.
That's good to hear. And of course, we are live. So 203-792-4101 is the number. We will open those phone lines tonight.
Yeah, please call in.
If you got anything you want to talk about, plenty of things going on in the world of sports. It is a wild world of sports right now, with championships going down, big games coming up, Game 7 tonight. But let's quick make mention of the Westerners. Westerners Roundup, of course, can be seen right here on Channel 23 right after us, 6:30 to 7, and then Friday re-airs 1:30 after we re-air on Fridays at 1 o'clock. Bob's show Spotlight on Tuesdays 9 o'clock, Wednesdays 12, and our director extraordinaire, Mr. Mike Toohey, controlling things in the control room. His show Expose Cinema, Fridays at 10, Wednesdays at 1. Let's give a quick
congratulations. Fridays at 9. He's moved to 9 now on Fridays.
Oh, he's moving more into the prime time area.
Yes.
Very nice. All right, moving up in the world there, Mike. We're glad to hear it. Let's give a quick congratulations, Bob, while we were gone.
Yes.
We were gone because Candy was on vacation. Candy, of course, one of the two, Dave King and Candy Ann Roswell, they run the station here.
Yes, they do.
And Candy, while on vacation, got engaged. Very nice to hear. Great news for Candy, so we were all thrilled to hear that. She looks very happy about it as we talked today before the show, so congratulations to her. But anyways, the Westerners, who are locked up in a tight one right now, Bob, 5-4 in the 4th inning. At Saratoga, they're playing a double dip because of some of this rain that's been going on. They've had, I think, 3 rainouts.
Yes.
But they so far have gotten off to a 3-2 start on the season as they try to get things moving in a somewhat, get on pace with the schedule where they're playing on a regular basis. The things have been started and stopped, and rain delays and rainouts. But last night they got thumped. But so far, looking pretty good. To start the season at 3-2. They're winning right now 5-4. You can keep track of that game and tonight's game, the second game of the double dip, on necbl.com. Of course, you can see headlines and all things Westerners on the Westerners. DanburyWesterners.com. So you can find that stuff there. Of course, you can follow them on Facebook as well. You can follow Sports Buzz on Facebook too, as we put all the shows up there.
And you can find them on Sports, and you can find them
on YouTube, all the shows there. So you can search us out and find us. This weekend, Friday night, they are home against Keene.
Yes.
That'll be a tough one. Always a big game when they play Keene, and that is to benefit the Sherman Animal Welfare.
Yes.
So come on down to check that out. Next week, they got a couple games benefiting Newtown First Responders. Wednesday, did you say that was, Bob?
Yes,
Wednesday. The game against Maine?
Yeah, they're playing, it's the First Responders from Newtown, and it's also Danbury Whalers night.
Oh, and Danbury Whalers night. So next week, actually, 4 home games, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday.
Yep.
So, and the weather's supposed to be nice.
Right.
Hot, maybe, but they won't mind that. So get on down to the ballpark. We will be bringing you a show sooner or later that covered the breakfast that had Ron Darling as the keynote speaker. It was a great morning the other week. Unfortunately, it was a rainy day, so the home opener was rained out that night. We couldn't roll right into the breakfast, then into the nice start of the season, but Ron Darling was on hand. He did a great job. We do have footage of that. We are working on editing that show and getting it together so you can see that. So lots of things, of course, going on with the Westerners as the season gets underway. But let's get right into it, Bob. NBA Finals, NBA action finally was pretty fantastic for Game 6. It was a thrill a minute there. The series has been interesting. Back and forth they have gone, San Antonio and Miami.
Yeah.
The Spurs winning Game 1, Tony Parker stealing the show down the stretch. And then the games have just been alternating, win, loss, and all in blowout fashion, basically. Game 2, big blowout by the Heat over the Spurs. Game 3, an even bigger blowout down in San Antonio. The Spurs crushed them, thumped them big time. Game 4 and 5, games were a little bit tighter as they went into the third, into the fourth, but by the time it got to the fourth, it was pretty much blowout city in those games. Finally, we had another close game in Game 6, and it looked like the Spurs had it. They were up by double digits in the third quarter. They went into the fourth quarter up 10, and here came the Heat. We've seen this before, Bob, in the NBA's home favorite, at home, down big, rallying as the refs stop calling the game they had been calling, and things get a little bit out of hand. The Heat turn it into a rugby match as far as I was concerned. Physical action, and the shots start dropping, and then the Spurs start missing, and here we go down the stretch. The Heat go up by 2, but no, it was not to be. The Spurs would not go quietly.
No,
Tony Parker drains a 3 to tie it, then hits a crafty little runner in the lane to put them up 2. LeBron James, the king, supposed king, he clanks a couple shots, and worse than that, 2 crucial, brutal. Magic Johnson said the worst play he had seen in a moment like that, where the stakes were that high ever. He turns it over twice in that final minute, leads to a breakout, leads to layups. They were up 5 with 30 seconds left, Bob. The Spurs were, and it looked like they had this championship wrapped up, and the Heat supposed dynasty would not to be. But Pops pulls a Pacers coaching move. We remember what happened with the Pacers in the Heat series when Vogel pulls the top defensive player, the big man, to go matchups with the small matchups. He takes out Tim Duncan, Bob, which means no rebounds. You're up by 5. You're going to guard the three-point line and the shooters. We know that. But that means you're hoping to force a miss, which means you're hoping to get a rebound to wrap this thing up. But no, he takes Duncan out. They force the miss, but they can't rebound. They kick it out, and Bron drains a 3 to cut it to 2. Now all you got to do is make your free throws. And the young kid Leonard, who's had a good game, he's had a great series, and after Ginobili had missed 1 of 2 to keep it at 5 instead of 6, which allowed for the three-pointer to cut it to 2. They get sent back to the line, and he makes 1 of 2. So now it's a 3-point game, Bob, inside 20 seconds. And again, after seeing what just happened, Pops does it again. Just like Vogel, who saw what happened in that Game 1 that ended up going overtime against the Pacers. He saw what happened, and then he repeated it. He took Hibbert off the floor. Here we go again. Popovich takes Duncan off the floor. They force a miss by Bron again. And who gets the rebound? Chris Bosh in traffic, kicks it to the corner. And Trader Ray Allen in the corner for the dagger 3 inside 5 seconds. He ties it up, which in essence forces overtime as the Spurs were not able to get off a good shot. Tony Parker, a baseline runner, had no chance to win it in regulation. They go OT, and the Spurs actually went up for a moment early, they recovered from the heartbreak of having the championship in their hands and not having it as they gave it away. But ultimately, it was the Heat coming back and then winning it in overtime. Ray Allen, I thought mugged Manu on the final play up by 1. They do not call timeout. They end up, Dwayne Wade took a very poor shot a little bit early in the shot clock. He could have ran more time. They got the ball, the rebound with 10 seconds left. No timeout, no inserting Tony Parker back in the game. They just run with it. Manu gets beats his man off the dribble, gets the lane, Bob. Yep. And Ray Allen, Trader, he strips him of the ball and he mugged him completely. Yeah. There was a foul. Of course, a lot of people say that Manu traveled on the play, so, it was one or the other. Either call the travel or you call the foul, but they called nothing, and that's it. It's tied up 3 games apiece. So will the trend continue, Bob? Alternating wins and victories and losses. Will the Spurs be able to continue that trend and go back to winning, or will this?
It would be nice. I would rather see them win than the Heat.
This loss could throw that whole thing off. Personally, I think it'll take a miracle for the Spurs to bounce back from that loss. Game 7 in the NBA, typically won by the home team. We already know what happens with the refs in these games as things just get out of hand and they don't call it. I mean, hey, who knows? The fix could be in.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of people who have said that over the years with the NBA. I wouldn't put anything past them. I've seen it happen firsthand. We all know what happened. 2010, Game 7, Lakers, Celtics. Yeah. Celtics in control of that game, and the refs decided to take control back. And, hey, I'm a Celtics fan. Obviously, we know that. But I have people who are Knicks fans calling me up and saying, I'm sorry about what happened. The officiating was unbelievable.
They were terrible.
Everybody knows what goes on in the NBA with these games. That's the way it is. So will that happen tonight? We'll see. Will the mini start of this dynasty, which is going to get broken up actually sooner than later, Bob.
Right.
They're already talking about that. Bron opting out of his contract. Dwayne Wade. He's had some moments here in this finals, but ultimately he looks like a broken down player. Chris Bosh got a rebound the other night, but really, how good is he? This team is highly flawed. I mean, on one hand, I feel like the Heat have been on borrowed time throughout this playoffs. The Bulls gave them a tough time, even though it only went 5 and they were playing with nobody. Half their team was in street clothes. And then the Pacers forced Game 7. Now the Spurs have had the upper hand as this series has gone on. But the Heat got home advantage here for Game 7. So, have they been on borrowed time? And will they finally run out of time? Or will the home dominance of teams in the NBA Finals in Game 7, play itself out? And will the Spurs just rue the day that they blew it up 5 with 30 seconds left in Game 6? I don't know. You got a prediction for tonight, Bob? What do you think? Dicey situation.
But I would like to see the Spurs do it. It would be much better than seeing the Heat.
We would. If any team can win on the road in a Game 7 and bounce back, it's this wily veteran team with the youth influence that they have. We'll see if they can do it. I don't think they're going to be able to get enough shots to get it done. I think the Heat defense will turn it up in the 4th, and the refs will let them get away with playing rugby.
Oh yeah, they'll.
And it'll be a tough bitter pill for them to swallow. That's what I see happening. I would love to see the Spurs win, but I see that as being a tall order. How about the other championship series going down? And let's talk about this, Bob. Going back and forth, especially in the earlier rounds when the games were going on at the same time, hockey and basketball. Personally, I think there has been no comparison whatsoever as far as the excitement level on a game-to-game basis.
The game was much better for hockey. Was more.
When you flip from a hockey game to a basketball game, it's like deflating.
Yeah.
There's a whistle, there's a timeout, there's a foul call, there's a hideous turnover.
You got to go through this and that.
TV timeout, the team's calling timeout. Fouls being called to every possession. In hockey, it's end-to-end action all night long, nonstop. Barely any even TV timeouts. They just get it going, and they get it going wild and woolly. And last night's game, Game 4, which really could turn out to be a crucial game, went a third time out of 4 games they go overtime. As Chicago and Boston are locked up really in a classic series. Game 1, Bruins were up 3-1 in the third period, a crucial turnover, and then an unlucky bounce. And that led to overtime, which the Blackhawks went on to win. So that was a tough loss for the Bruins. They bounced back in Chicago on Game 2 with a thrilling 2-1 OT winner. Really a great game there as they bounced back and put that crucial overtime loss behind them. That was a wild one. So that, and then Game 3, as you said, Bob, was a little bit of a boring game for you. Personally, I enjoyed it as they won 2-0. And then they come back looking like the Bruins had gained complete control of this series. They came out a little slow-footed in the game last night. The Blackhawks had the edge. They went up 1-0. Bruins tied it at 1 in the first period. Then the Blackhawks go up 3-1, and it looks like, we got trouble for the Bruins.
Right.
But they make it 3-2. The Blackhawks respond by making it 4-2, and you're like, then the momentum shifts are going back and forth. Chicago's going to take this thing, but no, the Bruins just amp up the pressure, make it 4-3. They could have made it 4-4. They had a golden opportunity in the second period, but instead they get another brilliant goal on an assist from a brilliant pass from Jaromir Jagr, Bob.
Yes.
It has been a joy. I don't care what Mike Milbury's saying in the intermissions.
Yeah.
It has been an absolute joy to watch Jaromir Jagr play on a regular basis. He is a sight to behold with his puck handling.
He's a great player, I have to say that.
His passing ability, what he's doing on the ice is amazing to me. He extends plays in the zone. He gets them extra time of possession, and he comes up with these passes. And he had a great quote because he is mired in the longest drought of his career as far as goal scoring goes. He's getting plenty of shots on net. He's getting plenty of assists, and he's doing plenty of things to help them win. But he was put on the ice in that 2-0 snooze fest the other night during the extra man when the Blackhawks pulled the goalie. And they asked him after why he thought he was on the ice because he's not one of the top defensive players. He said, Claude was trying to get me an empty net so I could get the monkey off my back, but I told Claude I love the monkey. Great line by Jagr, who is mired, one of the great scorers of all time, but he is embracing everything he's doing. Of course, he'd like to break through in the goal column, but he's doing everything he can, and he helped them tie up this game 4-4. Unfortunately, he ended up getting a penalty when they were on the power play later in that third period, which led to a 4-on-4, and then the Bruins took another penalty, which led to a 4-on-3 for the Blackhawks, which led to a 5-on-3 for the Blackhawks, which led to a 5-4 lead. And amazingly enough, right after that, the Bruins come back and tie this thing up again to force overtime, and then the Blackhawks come away with the game winner. So 3 games out of 4 going OT. Crazy situation. That first game, went triple overtime, right? So a wild series. They get 2 days off finally to get a little rest, and Saturday night is going to be a wild night in Chicago.
Yes, it will.
Madison, mayhem on Madison. It's going to be there as they get this series. That is a huge game right now. Chicago has Game 7 back at home as well, so they can rely on that. The Bruins are going to want to get Game 5 and then try to clinch it at Game 6 at home in Boston at the hub of hockey. And the arenas have been going nuts. 2 awesome fan bases, crowds going crazy. Nobody leaving early like the fans in Miami did in that NBA Game 6. Down by 5 with 30 seconds left, Bob, and you got fans leaving the game
that's pretty
when
bad.
the championship is on the line? How could you do that? Could you ever imagine yourself doing something like that, Bob?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, Bob, how could you? Come on.
I have.
All right, we got not much time left, so let's shift gears because the U.S. Open went down this weekend, Bob. Did you tune into this? This was a great, compelling scenario as Phil the Thrill looking to break through for his first ever U.S. Open championships. We know he's got 4 majors, but he has none on U.S. Open, and he does none again. He was the leader going into the final round, and he could not come up with the goods as Marion, the course, really did everybody in, and he gets his record-breaking 6th runner-up at a U.S. Open ever. So disappointment on Father's Day for Phil. He said it was devastating. Obviously, he was emotional. Justin Rose gets his first ever. A great player Justin Rose is, and he comes up with it as he wins out. But Phil had his opportunities, Bob's. Big bogey on 13th, which was really his undoing. That was the big moment right there. And of course, his putter couldn't come through. Tiger Woods, Tiger who?
Who?
I mean, really, his worst ever performance at a U.S. Open since missing the cut. He is now over 5 full years missing the cut, or missing out on winning a major. Everybody said Tiger was back. He was going to win the Masters. No, he did not. His parting gifts, I guess, are Lindsey Vonn with that nice portrait photo we get to see there. All smiles all around during that photo shoot. Not smiling so much as now he's got the elbow injury.
Yeah.
He will be shutting his game down until the British Open later in the year. But really this weekend was about Phil coming up short again, runner-up. You had to feel bad for Phil there. But Justin Rose gets it done. Quickly, let's get to a little soccer as World Cup qualifying has been taking place as we get through the hexagonal stage of this qualifying. And it's all looking rosy right now for Team USA as they are atop their standings in their group, 6 points away from clinching their berth in Brazil 2014. Jose Altidore, 4 straight goals. 3 in the qualifying, 1 in the friendly against Germany, which they won 4-3, by the way. Team looking very good right now. They beat Panama, they beat Honduras, they beat Jamaica, so things are nice for U.S. sitting pretty atop the standings. So that's been nice to see. We'll keep our eye on that as they get a little bit of a break right now before the next phase of the qualifying continues, and they can maybe wrap this thing up. MLB, Bob, let's get to it. Your Mets had a day in the sun the other day in Atlanta as they finally got to see the second coming. We know all about Matt Harvey, the ace. Now he's got a running mate.
Zach Wheeler.
Zach Wheeler looked impressive. They finally call him up, and it was a doubleheader. How fitting was that? I thought it was great, Bob. Harvey in the day, the first part of the day there, beating the Braves, and at night Wheeler comes in, 6-inning pitch, 0 runs allowed. They won an easy one against Atlanta. So one day only, the Mets get some joy as they look into the future.
There was joy in Mudville.
There was joy in Mudville as they win it. So they are sitting at 27-41. The Braves in first place, 43-30. Let's check in on the DC Loop that we talked about all last year there, Bob. What's going on with the Washington Nationals? 35-36, a game below 500, 7 out in the NL East.
Right.
We see them with a game they were playing against the Phillies. The Phillies 3 below 500 right now, and the talk is, will they trade Jonathan Papelbon?
Oh.
And the Detroit Tigers will be looking for a closer. And they are starting a series right now as we have a battle of first place teams. The Red Sox heading to Detroit tonight for a start of a 4-game series. Red Sox in first place, 44-30. But the Red Sox might actually be in need of a closer.
Why, they want him back?
Maybe, Bob. They are not that thrilled with what Andrew Bailey's doing. He's been shaky. We know, of course, Hanrahan is out for the year.
Right.
The closer they got from Pittsburgh last year, he's done for the year. So interesting.
Yeah.
I highly doubt that could happen, but that was brought up to me actually by my father on the phone today saying, could they go after Papelbon and bring him back? Who knows? So in the AL East, it's the Red Sox 44-30. The Orioles, who are the only team in the division who has handled the Red Sox.
Yeah.
The Red Sox have handled the Yankees, they've handled the Rays, they've handled the Jays, but the O's have had the better of them with a winning record against Boston. They're a game and a half out. So they're holding up their end of the DC loop.
Having a little problem.
Bronx Bombers, Teixeira, he's back on the DL. Euclid surgery.
He's back out. He's done for probably the season.
Probably done for the season. And the Yankees are playing the Dodgers right now. They split a doubleheader, and that was pretty exciting, I thought. First time Dodgers back in Yankee Stadium since the World Series in '81. So that was pretty cool that they are back. Of course, Donnie Baseball bringing his
they were getting the
team.
bleacher creatures were calling his name.
I bet they were. They love Donnie Baseball as the Dodgers 30-40, and they got that rookie sensation, Puig, who hit a home run last night. This kid is a sensation for sure. American League, let's stick there. We mentioned Tigers in first place. Indians and Royals, this is the teams I'm keeping my eye on. Indians and Royals got up to hot starts and then both slumped badly, but they have both recovered and not doing too bad. The Royals getting a helping hand. George Brett was named the hitting coach recently, and that has helped actually get them back on track. Still 34-36, but not terrible considering they looked like they were free falling. Indians 36-35, 3.5 games out of the Tigers. Oakland in first place out west, 43-30. They went, actually, no, where do I got there? 43-31. They raced past the Rangers, who are 2 back, 40-32. Angels still not playing well, 32-40. Of course, the Angels and the Jays were those two teams everybody watched. Bob, I'm telling you right now, the Jays are not out of the picture.
No.
They are going to do some damage. They're going to actually have a say in what goes on because they are 35-36 right now. They have done a good job, 8-2 in their last 10, getting themselves back to respectability at least, and not tanking the season. So keep your eye on the Jays to actually be somebody who has something to say in this season.
Well, the Jays got a bunch of Mets and Marlins on.
I know, but hey, so good job by them, Bob. You have to give credit for them not tanking completely. They are winning games lately, so they are creeping back up. The Cardinals have the best record in baseball, 46-26, 20 games above 500 right now, Bob. And we're not even to the All-Star break. That's a pretty good record. The Reds right behind them, as this is the division to watch, 44-29, 2.5. And how about the Pirates? And how about our man from Joe Barlow, the Reading kid? Charlie Morton got his first start the other week, which wasn't good, but he backed it up with a good performance in his second outing. They are sitting at 42-34 games out. So you got the Cards, the Reds, and the Pirates looking pretty good in that division. So there's a lot going on in baseball right now, Bob. Things are starting to really heat up. The divisions, I think, are going to be pretty tight. We know there's the extra wild card, so there's plenty of teams that are going to stay in the mix. I mean, really, Washington is a team that you have to worry about if you're, a baseball fan who thought they had a great team this year. I mean, they've got some injuries. They are got a bunch of teams ahead of them, Bob, so they're going to have trouble. Boston's been in the middle of a pretty tough schedule. 2 series with Tampa, which they did very well against. They had that long 4-game series. They only won 1 against Baltimore, but now 4 games. They come home, short series against Tampa, and then head right back on the road for a 4-game series against Detroit. I hate that sort of scheduling. That's not good. I don't appreciate that by the schedule makers. That is a product of interleague play. And that's it, I guess. All right, so head out to Rogers Park this weekend and all of next week. Plenty of games there.
And watch Western Roundup coming up in a few seconds.
Right, just keep your channel locked right here on Channel 23. And we'll be back next week as we attempt to do 2 shows in a row. We'll see you then.